Kathy will have more to say to us later on many subjects, and we applaud her bravery. Now, while not all Coxes are Satanists, the ones who are connect to the Illuminati Merovingian bloodline. They are regulars at the Bohemian Grove each July in California. Harold Cox, best buddy-bud of H.G. Wells, with Lady Cohen and Cecil Collins, helped Margaret Sanger start Planned Parenthood to lower the world's black population first, and then the Asians and Latinos next. It seems that none of these were Nazi white enough for their taste buds. Now, just as we have said before with all Illuminati last names, it is unfair to connect every Cox to the Illuminati.
You're like a flower that grew out of a pot of dirt.
Jesus Christ gave us the clue. One must judge a cock
in the woods there grew a tree, and a fine, fine tree was he.
No, that's not right. Stupid 5G radiation radiating my brain. One must judge a tree by its fruit.
And on that bed there was a girl, and on that girl there was a man, and from that man there was a seed, and from that seed there was a boy, and from that boy there was a man, and for that man there was a grave, and from that grave there grew a tree.
So we have to look at a cock objectively and judge its fruit to see where a dark one might pop up.
Remarkably, Barack Obama himself has repeatedly slipped up and called her Michael over and over again.
Men and women of the finest military in the world. Most of all, Michael and I.
Is anything scary?
You know, well, when Michelle's mad.
Have you ever met a man who accidentally calls his wife by a man's name?
Spencer Cox is a former telecom executive who always seems like he's auditioning for the title of America's guiltiest white guy. He's beyond belief. Watch this virtual town hall with high school students last year, in which Spencer Cox announces his preferred pronouns to a young girl in the audience.
Well, thank you so much, Gabby, for that question. And my preferred pronouns are he, him, and his. So thank you for sharing yours with me.
Ooh, what a creepy guy. My preferred pronouns are he, him, his, Cox tells a room full of children. So we've got that cleared up. Spencer Cox identifies as a male, at least to some limited extent. Now, Fox could have cleared up that mystery a lot more quickly simply by declaring, I'm a man. Instead, he went full hostage video. My preferred pronouns are he, him, his. Just in case you had any doubt that neoliberal interest groups control Spencer Cox's brain. Now you know for certain. Because it's never about gender, it's always about obedience. Spencer Cox is obedient.
Good boy. And a good boy obeys.
If nothing else, but not obedient to his voters. That's the weird thing. What exactly is the market for superfluous pronouns in Utah? Pretty limited, you would think. Most people in Utah don't need to be told. Yet somehow Spencer Cox is their governor. In a piece today, a really good piece, Nate Hochman of National Review reports that the very first document Cox signed as governor of Utah was something called the Utah Compact on Racial Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. And it's everything you'd imagine and more. The document describes racism as, quote, more than just an individual character flaw. No, racism instead is a system that you participate in, Mr. and Mrs. Racist, a system that can only be stopped with, quote, bold anti-racist actions and policies right now. Ooh, you know you're in trouble, Mr. and Mrs. Utah voter. What are these policies? We'll let Spencer Cox explain. Here is Spencer Cox wearing his little obedience mask during a Zoom interview, explaining that he supports excluding white students from an academic scholarship program purely because of their skin color, because that's anti-racism. No, it's not racism. It's anti-racism.
The Utah Jazz is excluding white children from consideration for their scholarship program. Do you think this is racist? And what will you do to prevent the Utah Jazz from acting in this racist manner?
Well, I don't think it's racist. In fact, I think it's in response to, unfortunately, some very difficult and racist injustices that have happened in our community for a long time.
So here's this moist little guy sitting alone in his gilded room with a mask on telling us it's not racist to exclude people from a scholarship based on their race. Does anyone else in Utah believe this? We'd like to meet them. There can't be many of them. Most people in Utah have more sense than that. Racism is when you hurt people based on their skin color, right? Right. And most people in Utah, by the way, still believe in biology, also gravity and photosynthesis. The state of Utah is pro-science. And we know this because Utah State Legislature just passed a bill banning men from competing in women's sports because men, it turns out, are not women. But Spencer Cox disagrees. He vetoed that bill. Fortunately, 2/3 of the legislature overrode Spencer Cox's veto and finally got the bill passed. This has been going on for a long time in the state of Utah. Spencer Cox previously threatened to veto a proposed ban on gender transition surgeries for minors, which, once again, most people in Utah say they don't want. So here you have a perfectly normal state filled with perfectly happy, normal people, somehow run by a low IQ weekend MSNBC anchor. That doesn't seem fair to the state of Utah, but it's not just Spencer Cox. Utah's junior senator, Mitt Romney, has also decided he's tired of representing the people of Utah. So instead, he's speaking for his neighbors in the state of California, where he lives a lot of the time. Less than a year ago, this is an amazing example, it was just June of 2021, Mitt Romney voted against the nomination of Ketanji Brown Jackson to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. Okay, he thought she wasn't qualified. Now, this week, Mitt Romney announced that he is supporting the same person's confirmation to the Supreme Court. Huh? She was unqualified for a lower court, but a perfect choice for the Supreme Court? How does that work? Here's Mitt Romney to explain.
In the prior confirmation, I was concerned that she was outside the mainstream. And as a result of our meeting for an hour together and reviewing her testimony before Congress, I became convinced that she's within the mainstream. She's also highly qualified, intelligent, capable person, and I wish her the very best.
Oh, so she's now in the mainstream. She wasn't less than a year ago, but now she's fully in the mainstream. So here's what it took for Mitt Romney to finally support Ketanji Brown Jackson. He learned in the course of Supreme Court confirmation hearings that she gave lenient sentences to child pornographers. Mitt Romney apparently didn't know that last year, hence the vote against her. Now that he knows that Ketanji Brown Jackson has disregarded sentencing guidelines to benefit kiddie pornographers, it's a yes for Mitt Romney.
What Tucker doesn't know or didn't want to say here is that the state of Michigan, where Mitt grew up and was a young man, was the major production location for kiddie porn in the entire United States. Do an internet search for Mitt Romney MK Ultra program.
Oh, but most of all, for butterfly kisses after bedtime prayer.
Assuming it hasn't all been scrubbed from the internet. We'll have more on this, but for now, we'll let Tucker continue.
That's the junior senator from the state of Utah. And as with Spencer Cox, this is not a one-time aberration. Reporter Greg Price summarized Mitt Romney's past few weeks this way, quote, confirmed Ketanji Brown Jackson, voted against repealing TSA mask mandate, didn't show up to vote defunding Biden vaccine mandate, accuses Tulsi Gabbard of treason for opposing the war in Ukraine. Amazing! Mitt Romney is not alone, of course, neither is Spencer Cox. It turns out a lot of Republicans in red states serially betray their voters, give them the finger day after day after day. The question is, how long will Republican voters put up with this?
Since Senator Byrd gave Utah the bird when he ordered the satanic Coxes to take over Utah, does this answer Tucker's question? Since Utah got the big cock, things have gotten worse. What most Utards don't understand is that Spencer plans to meter and steal all the state's water rights, and used them to control all development in the state. Somehow he strong-armed the LDS Church into turning over, apparently for free, thousands of shares of their water rights obtained for the whole church body by their pioneer ancestors. Now they belong to the state. Water is life in the desert. If Spency gets all the water rights, even your ditch water rights, which he plans to also meter, the next plan is to use those to control and force development in the state into the Illuminati 15-minute cities. We have just told you the truth. Believe it or not. Recently, the Republican Party tried to remove Cox from the ballot since he didn't win his party's nomination. But since current Utah law, since Cox has the conflict of interest that the lieutenant governor of their state runs the election for the governor and the lieutenant governor, and the executive branch of Utah is a bloated imperial dictatorship, and twice now, Cox has refused to let anyone see the election results, and in some counties over 100% of the population voted. This could go on and on for quite a long time, because Utards are asleep. So, while some cocks are really big, others only think they are. Utards need to get some balls and fast, or they will find out that the homesteads laid out for them by their pioneer ancestors, and all the rights given to them in blood by their forefathers in the Constitution, will amount to little more than... We hope that Utah can pull back the curtain.
I am Oz, the great and powerful. Who are you? Who are you?
Change the scene, or at least unzip the fly and have a good look at the cocks behind the zipper.
Stop that.